But let's now go to the competition, and I'll take a glass here. Sort of look at the competitive market that UPS is located in. So this looks at the US market share of package delivery. And UPS is clearly, with 37%, is the largest company and dominates the market, followed by FedEx, the Postal Service, and Amazon. So UPS is still the dominant company in this sector. But the next slide is a slide I want to show that the company might show. The company might show to scare you, and it shows how it's changed over time. So this shows the market share of all the parcels delivered from 2014 to 2021. And if I was the company, I would point out, look, UPS is going down, FedEx is flat, but Amazon is coming up quick. And this is parcel volume, not the revenues they make from the business, just the amount they deliver. And the other down at the bottom, the 2%, that's DHL and some of these private vehicle deliveries. So it's a very small part of the market. Most of the market is these four companies. And one thing to note also is Amazon's is mostly delivering their own packages as well. So if I was the company, I would say, look, they're coming up close. We're in a very competitive situation. We can't afford a better contract. But the data, as we'll see in the next slides, contradicts that. Both FedEx and Amazon have some serious problems. FedEx, as we'll see later, they have very low profit margins compared to UPS, and their shareholders have been agitating for change at the company. FedEx subcontracts at a higher rate than UPS, and those subcontractors, private companies, are almost forming their own union, pushing back against FedEx, saying we need to be paid more. FedEx has a real problem with their labor policies. They don't have hardly any union representation. Unlike UPS, UPS may not like a union contract, but it's predictable. But what we had with the labor market with FedEx, they didn't know how much their labor costs would go up or down, which created a lot of volatility and a lot of problems for the company. So FedEx has their problems. And one of the biggest problems for FedEx is that their ground and air are separate. So on the same day, a customer may get a delivery from FedEx Ground and FedEx Air, FedEx Express on the same day. Why don't they combine the two, you might ask? And they don't want to do it because it would be easier for workers to organize and form a union. So they keep them separate. And it really makes the company less efficient. And this is, obviously, they've just laid off 12,000 workers. So these problems, FedEx has some serious problems compared to UPS. Now, Amazon, they also have some serious problems. A lot of people say, well, maybe they'll be a competitor, but they're missing many of the elements they need to compete with UPS. Amazon has somewhere around 100 aircraft. UPS and FedEx have over 600. Amazon is not very good at returns, two-way delivery, and then the last mile delivery. Amazon has contracts with both UPS and the Postal Service to deliver their packages because they just don't have the framework and infrastructure to do it. So they have a lot of obstacles to be a key competitor to UPS. It would take billions to catch up, to build out that infrastructure. And Amazon is losing business on their core business of selling stuff. They lost $10.5 billion in 2022. So they're really starting to have some problems. And they're subleasing. They have too much capacity. They are subleasing their warehouse space, and they're cutting staff as well. So FedEx and Amazon maybe are competing with UPS, but they have some serious problems. And this is reflected in the shareholder return. So over the last 3 years, UPS is up 75%, FedEx is up 26%, 27% for DHL. Amazon is actually down 9%. So these kind of problems I outlined are actually reflected in the share price. So UPS is far exceeding in their performance. The other kind of scare tactic that the company might use is to say, well, our labor costs are so much higher than our competitors. And one thing I want to note is Amazon doesn't disclose any of this data, and that's why they're not in here, because they just don't disclose it, so we don't know. But labor costs at the Postal Service and UPS are 55% of operating costs. That means like of all the money it takes to run the business, how much is labor? And UPS is higher than FedEx, much higher, because of the union contract. And so if I was the company, I might use this to sort of as a scare tactic to say we can't afford, our labor costs are too high. But when you start digging deeper, you see that this isn't the case. They may have far higher labor costs, but their profit margins are way higher than their competitors. UPS's profit margin, that means, so if they get $100 in revenue, that means they keep 13% or $13. So the higher the profit margin, the better. So UPS's profit margin is twice that of FedEx. So the labor costs may be higher at UPS, but they're generating more profits because they're more efficient than their competitors. And this is reflected in, if you look at profits per employee. UPS has the highest operating profit per employee. They generate over 24,000 in profit per employee. If you look at FedEx, 10,000. And if you look at the Postal Service, they're losing money. So when the company says our labor costs are too high, this really, it's not the case. The fact is that having a union contract with the Teamsters has made the company more efficient and more productive. And while labor costs may be higher, you make the company way more efficient than its competitors.